No obvious signs that she was suffocated by the smoke. No obvious indication that she was burned by the fire. Like, if they're like... If you're modeling a corpse that you're supposed to investigate, why would you model it so the dress is like that clipping, or that the chair is like clipping through the dress? I mean, it's point of like, it's an important part of the game, of a gameplay here, the crime scene, right? To inspect the body. Why would you leave it like that and be like, oh, whatever, it's fine? No. Like, so far I'm getting vibes that the game was made a bit sloppy. Could she have fallen asleep in that position? I would expect nothing less from a working artist.
From analyzing the victim's body, I can conclude that the cause of death was not dead by the flames.
Not by the flames? Then what?
That is what we are yet to determine. Monsieur Hastings...
Of course. What can I do?
I can confirm a mosaic was not killed by the fire. How do we know wasn't overcome by fire? No signs of burning.
From analyzing the victim's body, I can conclude that the cause of death was not dead by the flames.
Not by the flames? Then what?
That is what we are yet to determine.
How do we know this is not the stone painting?
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius.
How do we know created forgeries?
That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
Let us get back to the scene.
Order and method. The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
The dog ends at the ashtray. Sorry. Suggests she smoked every tobacco that she kept in the Lady Shoe's snuff box. Okay.
Ah.
The museum has made a large numbers of sales, although not all of them appear to be accounted for. 3 high-priced sales. Anyone could see this bad financial management unless there's something she trying to remain hidden. There's something.
This will not get me any closer to my goal. Is there something I am not? Voila.
Her sales ledger and her movements the day that the gala suggests she sold two of her paintings.
Come now. Think.
Rin sold 2 paintings. Day after gala.
Some would say a lucky guess. I would say a moment of genius.
A forgery of the Magdalene along with the omissions from her account suggests that she's selling forgeries. Irene selling forgeries of paintings. Okay, what are we doing now?
Oh.
This is a clear trail of where the fire was intended to burn. Judging from the pattern and location of the scorch marks, an accelerant was used.
Didn't you speak with her neighbour before? Might she be able to help?
Things are beginning to become clearer.
The start of the fire was no accident, it was set with intent to damage and kill. The fire was deliberately started.
What do you need? Of course, the painting. Irene had made forgeries of the penitent Magdalene painting and was likely selling them for a pretty penny, I might add. It wasn't an accident. It was set on purpose, using turpentine to douse any evidence of them being there, and the forgery.
An almost perfect execution, had we not arrived in time before the evidence had burned away.
But why try and get rid of the necklace?
Spoken like a true detective.
What can I do for you?
How do we know it was Miss Snuffbox?
That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
Let us get back to the scene.
Is it that copper again? What do you want?
I was hoping to ask you some questions regarding the fire. May I ask your name?
You aren't coming in. You can get that into your head now. Mrs. Colsham. Camilla Colsham.
Merci, Madame Colsham.
She hardly had any visitors, but yesterday it was like she had a sign up offering out free ale.
If you would be so kind as to talk us through the events as you remember them.
Well, I saw her leaving with a couple of paintings under her arm. You've seen her work? Not really my cup of tea. Then there was that posh-looking chap. I heard him before I saw him. Like an elephant on those stairs. Next came the professional-looking pair. He's got some money in those pockets, that's for sure. I saw him leaving with a painting, too. Oh, and the argument with another man? I couldn't hear what it was all about, but he had a set of lungs on him.
You are doing a wonderful job, Madame Colsham.
You can keep the patronizing tone to yourself. She must have turned her radio up to disguise what they were saying, but I tell you this, I'd rather have listened to them than that racket. It wasn't long before he was storming down the stairs. I don't think he'd heard the expression light-footed before.
Would you be able to remember any other details of the gentleman?
Through this people, you can barely tell who's man and woman. I didn't hear her leave, but when I heard that door downstairs slam, I knew it was her. I opened my door and gave her what for. And you know what she did? She waved me off, bottle of bubbles in hand, ranting about being dry. She looked 2 sheets to the wind, if you ask me. Only after did she turn the radio down. I wasn't going to waste the peace and quiet, and I got ready for bed. I was getting right into the exciting bit of my book. Perkins' first one, you know. I do like Perkins. Well, that's when I first smelt the smoke coming from the hall. And then you lot showed up.
Merci, Madame. You have been most accommodating.
Oh, and I found this in the garden. It's obviously hers. I was going to put it through her letterbox, but, well, you know.
The cork from a champagne bottle. It would not be a giant leap to assume this came from Mademoiselle Courtsmith's apartment. The smell lingers on the cork. Bitter almonds.
Merci, Madame Colsham.
Pierced cork.
Where is the sense in... Hot on the culprit's heels.
Why would she feel she need to purchase more when she already bottles? What? To purchase more when she already bottles in her apartment?
Aha.
And what am I doing now?
What do you need? Almonds? I've never had champagne that tasted of almonds.
One would hope not. Mademoiselle's lips may hold the missing clue we require.
What can I do for you?
Let us get back to...
How curious the smell of almost remains on her breath.
The answer was staring me in the
The cork was pierced with a champagne tap and the poison administered. Champagne spiked with champagne tap.
Come, my little grey cells. I cannot see the logic in this. Perhaps... I must act on thought.
Huh.
What do you need? I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Take your time. Consider what we have seen and learnt of Mademoiselle Courtsmith's time here yesterday.
Okay, firstly, we know that she had a number of visitors and an argument with one of them. Among these visitors, one left with a painting. Perhaps another forgery.
Très bien.
Irene wasn't drinking alone, and whoever she was drinking with likely poisoned her. The killer used a syringe to inject a liquid form of the poison through the cork and into the bottle.
Potassium cyanide. Traces of the compound can be found in nature, but dangerous levels, such as those present, can be detected by its notable almond smell.
And she fell victim shortly after in her chair. What are you going to tell him?
The truth. He may hope for a simple and somewhat convenient version of events, but he cannot ignore the facts that we shall present.
My crime scene still intact?
Of course, Detective Inspector. There is something that...
There's nothing more to say.
Pardon, Detective Inspector. The truth is that Mademoiselle Irene Courtsmith was murdered.
Right you are. I'll be sure to make a note.
But you won't.
Excuse me? Are you forgetting who you're talking to?
He is well aware of your authority and your capability of coming to the same conclusion. We only wish to inform you of our findings.
Well, my men have been in, as have I, and I've concluded that the mademoiselle, as you so elegantly called her, made off with the painting and decided to have a few drinks to celebrate. She passed out drunk in the chair, candle still lit, and the place went up like a match.
Detective Inspector, s'il vous plaît. It is really not that simple.
Who are you calling simple?
He's not calling you simple, he's saying that isn't how it happened. How can you ignore the bottle of champagne that had been tampered with? The smell of poison on the cork.
You're both experts in poison now, are you?
I do not wish to stand here and argue credentials. Mademoiselle Courtsmith was killed, not by the fire that burned through her home, but at the hands of another. Her drink, laced with potassium cyanide.
Quite the imagination you two have.
Look, we can show...
No. We shall leave the Detective Inspector to discover the truth for himself. Detective, adieu. Monsieur Hastings, you must learn which battles are worth the fight. Besides, we have no time to stand squabbling with him. We have a murder to solve.
Knowing that with that painting is not the original, I feel a sense of relief seeing it in a damaged state.
That was quite a night. I feel exhilarated, yet exhausted. Triumphant at what we have discovered, but mournful for Miss Court Smythe.
It is being able to control those emotions and still see the bigger picture that separates the best detectives from those that merely like the thought of such responsibility.
So do you think it must have been one of the guests at the gala?
An accomplice disguised as a guest turned murderer. A master criminal they may appear to be, but they have never crossed paths with Belgium's greatest detective.
I think I just felt a chill.
Now we must speak with the guests of the gala again, as well as find Monsieur Christiansen, who has continued to evade my questions. I have no doubt one or more of them will hold the answers we require regarding the death of Mademoiselle Court Smythe. Monsieur Hastings, you're
Of course. What can I do?
Merci. Mademoiselle, do you have a moment to spare?
Of course, Detective. I'm hoping you have some good news for me. Goodness. You've found the painting, haven't you?
A painting was recovered. A forgery, but it was damaged by the fire.
What on earth are you talking about? Forgery? Fire?
It ran rampant through Mademoiselle Court Smythe's apartment.
She's dead. She would never be so. But with all of those flammable paints and... No!
Mademoiselle Warbeck appears quite distraught at the news. Perhaps I should have considered the nature in which it was delivered.
I respected her as an artist and a friend.
I do not wish to push Mademoiselle Warbeck too far while in such a state. But as a friend, I must know if she was aware of Mademoiselle Court Smythe's plan.
Perhaps, as a friend, she let slip of her plans.
Her plan for what? Stealing the painting? Making a forgery? Do you really think I'd let her do that?
She must have had help from someone she trusted.
If she did, it wasn't me she confided in. I've been here trying to calm down the trustees.
You did not leave the museum?
I was here until the early hours. After the meeting, I wrote a letter to my father. I wanted his advice on what to do. It's just all so... Excuse me, gentlemen. I must go and make a phone call to an artist. I shan't be long.
Merci, mademoiselle. That is all for now.
Oh. Huh.
There appear to be faint indentations on the paper. Even for my impeccable vision, they are still too faint to comprehend.
Aha.
Uh-huh. And why we are inspecting that again? Didn't we did it so already? Okay. Yeah, okay, why not? Like, see what I'm talking? Like, characters are clipping, going through other characters. We can go upstairs, which is interesting. We can go directly to the restoration room, but not to the west wing. Like, both ways lead to the restoration room, which is kind of weird. Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can make any connections. No. Wait, what does it say?
What do you need? What can I do for you?
Merci, monsieur.
Okay, can I leave? Oh. Oh. Well, let's start with Mortimer's office.
Monsieur Aylesworth.
Ah, a detective that actually seems to be doing something to find my painting. What can I do for you?
How do you recover after your ordeal?
Quite well, thank you.
The infirmary discharged you already?
With a clean bill of health. I didn't want to wait around using up valuable resources.
An honorable gesture.
After leaving the hospital?
I was straight off to the House of Commons. I take it you haven't read today's newspaper?
I'm afraid I have had more pressing matters.
It certainly makes for an interesting read.
I was not aware reporters were permitted inside the house.
They aren't. I left and went to the London Illustrated News office. I gave my statement there. I can't for the life of me remember the chap's name. Rather pleasant, though. Anyway, you're a busy man. I'd hate to take up too much of your time.
It does not take a great detective to pick up on Monsieur Aylesworth's ever so subtle hint.
Regarding the matter of the painting...
Is this about the insurance claim? It was merely a necessary precaution. I'm sure with you on the case, it won't be long before it's returned.
I do not doubt my abilities to return the painting, but I question why he felt it necessary to talk of sensitive details regarding the investigation to a national news outlet. It would not surprise me to learn of him using his loss for cynical gain.
I assume you saw the article in the paper?
Oui, monsieur. A fantastic opportunity for you to express your political opinions.
Oh, the people must know what I stand for. I'm here for them.
I will not take up any more of your time.
Bartholomew! Here, puss, 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 puss. Where are you? Bartholomew! Enough now! Out you come! I'm sorry, I just don't have time to talk now. I have to find Bartholomew.
Have you placed a missing persons report?
Really, Detective? Bartholomew is the church cat. I think a missing persons report might be a little overboard.
I am sure with our assistance we shall find him in half the time. And then, perhaps you will have time to answer my questions.
Fine. All that matters now is that we find him. His name is Bartholomew, and I'd appreciate it if you spoke of him as such.
Pardon. When did you last see Bartholomew?
Better. Well, you see, the poor creature took an interest in my easel. He leapt up, knocking over some of my supplies, and gave himself a fright. He bolted out of sight, and I've not seen him since.
Merci, Your Grace.
I must say, this reminds me of my duties back in rural Belgium as an officer, but it is important I find the missing cat, so the bishop will answer my questions. Okay. A little remains of the candle. It must have burned for some time. A small shard of glass yet to be swept up. Some candle wax was hardened on the floor.
Oh.
The candle was put out some time ago.
Huh.
Noticeable dent on the candle. Abram. Logical thinking shall always prevail.